Madam President?
The senator from Massachusetts.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I ask unanimous consent to ask that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Thank you. Madam President?
Senator from Massachusetts.
Thank you. I was hoping I could address an amendment I have on the floor today.
Without objection.
Thank you. Madam President, I come to the floor of the Senate today to give my first speech as one of the senators from Massachusetts. And first, let me say that I'm deeply honored to have been elected and to serve in this great and historic chamber. In addition, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to address my colleagues and the American people and all the folks up here watching us for the first time about legislation that I'm introducing, and it's called the Immediate Tax Relief for American Workers Amendment. Madam President, families in Massachusetts and across this great nation are suffering through these tough economic times. And 1 year after Congress has passed the stimulus package, Americans are still struggling and to pay their bills, to save money for college, and to buy groceries just to put on their kitchen tables. But in Washington, the federal government is driving up our debt and creating government waste on projects that, in my opinion, don't create enough private sector jobs or provide immediate relief for the American workers. The hundreds of billions of dollars that we've spent and continue to spend on the stimulus package have not created one new net job. And most Americans believe that Washington is not using the money effectively enough, especially while many Americans are suffering and needing immediate and real relief. In fact, the federal government right now is sitting on approximately $80 billion of so-called stimulus funds that are either unused or unobligated to specific projects as of this date. And that $80 billion in taxpayer money is stuck in what I consider a virtual Washington slush fund, potentially used for special interest projects or so-called pork projects that many of us personally object to. And Madam President, I feel, and others feel, that it's time to put this money back to work immediately and put it into the pockets of hardworking Americans and American families so they can help to get what they need. For example, they can provide for their families, they can save for their future, and put real money back into the struggling economy. So by providing an immediate, across-the-board relief, tax relief for working families is not complicated economic policy, and what I think it's simple and common economic sense. And leaders on both sides of the aisles, from President John F. Kennedy to Ronald Reagan, have often called for across-the-board tax cuts to put money immediately into people's pockets to help stimulate the economy. And I also believe that this is a perfect opportunity to do the very same thing. And I believe that individual citizens know better. People up here watching, they know better how to spend their own money than we do in terms of spending it for them. And the immediate tax relief for American workers amendment that I'm proposing would cut payroll taxes and have across-the-board tax relief for almost 130 million American workers, Madam President. That number again, 130 million people in American workforce, including more than 3 million people in Massachusetts, would have immediate relief. Now, 130 million workers would receive that immediate and direct tax relief by turning the estimated $80 billion of unobligated stimulus monies in accounts over to the American people. Our workers would see their payroll taxes reduce by almost over $100 per month, up to $500 per person, $1,000 per couple within a 6-month period, could be implemented within 60 days. Now, some people in Washington may not think that $100 or $500 or $1,000 is a lot of money, but I can tell you, I know the value of a dollar. The people in my state know that that's real money. That's money that can be put into their pockets immediately and spent to pay for oil, food, medical bills, everyday basic needs. And the American people need this relief, Madam President, and they deserve it. Families would immediately get the help they need to pay their bills, and we would put real money back into the economy, helping start a true recovery. And unlike tax cuts of years past, this one is paid for entirely. It will not increase the deficit and can be implemented, as I said, within 60 days. It would be paid for by using the roughly $80 billion in unused and unobligated stimulus funds that are currently sitting in the slush fund in Washington, D.C. Nothing, in my opinion, Madam President, it does nothing right now to stimulate the economy that's struggling as we know it. And not to do this, I feel, Madam President, would be a mistake and a disservice to the people who pay the bills, and those are the American taxpayers. And let me be clear, my amendment would not add one penny to our federal deficit. And also, let me remind my colleagues in this chamber that bipartisanship is a two-way street. It's not just a one-way street, Madam President, and you commented to me, and others have, that they appreciated my effort to reach across the aisle last week and help pass a jobs bill that the majority leader was pushing to put people back to work, not only in Massachusetts, but in your state, and every state in this country, and I took some heat for it. But I held firm and looked at the bill with open eyes, as I told the majority leader and the minority leader and all my colleagues that I would do. It wasn't perfect, but I felt it was a good first step. So that effort of bipartisanship was evident with me last week. And many of you came up to me and said, boy, what a nice new tone you've set, Senator. We're proud you're here. We're happy to see that bipartisanship. Well, let me tell you, when I see a good idea, I plan on supporting it, whether it be a good Republican idea or a good Democrat idea. As long as it puts people back to work, it has a way to get paid for, and it makes good sense for my state and for the people of this country, I plan on voting for it, regardless of what any special interest groups, regardless of my party, regardless of what anyone else says. So, Madam President, here's our chance to show the American people that the partisan bickering is now over. Okay, we can help them right now. We can actually have a bipartisan effort on this very important bill that will put immediate money into people's pockets in 60 days, up to $1,000 per couple. And I know many, many people who could use that money right now. And with so many people struggling, I personally don't feel that it's time anymore for political gamesmanship. The time now is to do the people's business, and I have always felt that we can do better. The fact that I'm here has sent a very strong message across this country. And the people in my state and throughout the country that supported me in record numbers are saying, you know what, Scott, we can do better. And when you get to Washington, work across party lines, get the engine going a little bit, and let's get the people's business done. Well, this is my first bill, first amendment, I should say, to a jobs bill. It makes fiscal sense. It's something that's been done in the past. JFK and Ronald Reagan have called for across-the-board tax cuts, and it worked. We've tried a whole host of other things, targeted tax breaks, a little bit here, a little bit there. Why don't we give it back to the American people and see what they can do with that $1,000 and see what they can do to stimulate the economy? Let's give them a chance. And with the immediate tax relief for American workers amendment, comes to a vote, my colleagues will have a very, very clear choice. They can support a measure that will immediately put money back into their constituents' pockets and into the economy. Or we can go along with a business-as-usual approach in Washington and leave the $80 billion in unused stimulus money in that slush fund to be used in years from now. The money that we're taking is not allocated. It's just hanging out there. And it's unlikely we're going to put it back to reduce the deficit, so let's put it to work like within 60 days. So people can use it, when the summertime comes and they can go out and do whatever they want for it. And we can go and create more of a bureaucracy if we want, or more government jobs, but I have confidence in the American people that they will do what they've always done. They've reached down, they've tightened their belts, they've made a difference, and they're the folks that are going to help us get out of this struggling economy. And I'm not going to point any fingers. I'm not going to say it's their fault or it's their fault. I don't care whose fault it is. Bottom line is, I was sent here for a reason, to deliver a message from the people of Massachusetts and all the hundreds of thousands of people that supported me, and that is, we can do better. Let's get the economy going. And this is a simple amendment, and I'm hopeful that we're going to get bipartisan support on this, because I can tell you, it's very easy to use procedural points of order to try to, delay this particular amendment, and then it gets lost in the shuffle, that's very easy to do. You know, we can do a procedural point of order to delay action on the economic emergency facing American workers. Well, by golly, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do everything I can do on every single day to make sure that I can put as much money back into the American people's pockets so they can do what they do best. They can save, they can care for their families, they can do what they've done for years, and that's helped stimulate this economy. After all, that's what, Madam President, you were sent here to do, and sir, you were sent here to do, and the people up here watching and the people on TV expect us to do. It's to get back to work. You know, solve the problems. Let's move on. And this is a great opportunity to do just that. And I'm hopeful I'm going to get some support on this. And Madam President, I believe there may be others speaking, so I respectfully yield back the balance of my time. Thank you.